Chapter 6. The Test of Authority. It came one night when he was at his lowest. The bills had piled up once more, the weight of the responsibilities pressing down harder than ever. The pressure of life's demands crushed him, and even the words of Pastor Elijah no longer seemed to cut through the fog of his despair. He sat at his desk again, head in his hands, struggling to find even the smallest shred of hope. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of the walls settling. David felt it in his bones. The darkness was near. It didn't knock this time. It simply swept over him, like a cold wind gusting through a broken window. A voice, like ice, sliced through his mind. Do you still believe in your authority? Or have you come to realize that you're just as powerless as you've always been? The weight of the words was suffocating. His pulse quickened, the walls of his apartment closing in around him. The darkness knew his weaknesses. It knew how to make him doubt. But something inside of David snapped. He took a deep breath and stood up. He wasn't the same person who had fallen to his knees weeks ago, lost in fear. No, this was a man who had faced the darkness and had survived. A man who knew his worth, not from what he had done, but from the authority bestowed upon him by Christ. I am not powerless, David said, his voice steady, echoing through the quiet room. The darkness wavered, but it didn't retreat. It pressed closer, as if testing him. You can't make it alone, the voice jeered. You'll fall again. You'll fail. It's only a matter of time. David's heart raced, but he didn't falter. He had learned that the enemy would use anything to break him. Doubt, fear, guilt. But the truth was his weapon, and he was no longer afraid to wield it. He stood firm, repeating the words that Pastor Elijah had shared with him. I have been given authority, and in the name of Jesus Christ, I command you to leave. For a moment, the darkness surged forward, a tide of cold that threatened to swallow him whole. His thoughts tangled in a whirlwind, doubt clawing at his mind like claws on glass. But he didn't give in. I am not your prisoner, David said, each word now a declaration. I am Christ's, and by his authority, I command you to flee. The room seemed to hold its breath. The darkness paused, and then, with a shuddering hiss, it vanished. The cold lifted, and the heavy air that had enveloped him dissipated. The tension in the room evaporated like fog at sunrise. David stood in the stillness, his breath shaky but strong. His body trembled, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from the relief of knowing he had withstood the test. The authority he had been given was no longer a mere concept. It was real. It was his.